Good afternoon. So glad you're here. We appreciate those who are activated and concerned about our kids in our schools and willing to give their Sunday afternoon to hear our platforms. I'm Natalie Blossingame, and I'm running for position 5 on the CFISD board.
Hi, my name is Luke Scanlon, and I'm running for position 7 for Board of Trustees for Cypher ISD. I'm excited to have parents who care, and stakeholders and taxpayers who care and want to do better for our kids and pull back our school district into conservative efforts. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'll resoundingly second those remarks as well. My name is Scott Henry, and I'm running for position number 6 on the school board of trustees, November 2nd election. I encourage you all to get out and vote. As you know, most school board elections, hardly anyone votes for these elections. Only about 4% of people show up. So I encourage you to bring your friends, bring their friends, get a bus, get a Greyhound full of people, bring as many people as you can because it's important. In fact, early voting starts on the 18th of October. So bring as many people as you can because it's very important. It's your kids, it's your houses, it's your property taxes. In fact, it's your most important asset, your house. You're paying the most important money on that. So go vote and help these candidates out like myself.
Would someone like to ask some questions, or
We got a platform?
why don't you give a platform and someone will give you some space?
Okay, great. Thank you. So thank you for the chance to share what's on my heart and what's on my mind, and I think what's on a lot of our hearts and minds for our kids in our schools. So Natalie Blossingame, running for position 5 on the board, number 2 on the ballot, and I'm running on a platform of voice, choice, and values. So let me describe a little bit about voice and my vision for that. We as parents and community members, we are the ones on the ground with our children. We are the ones who have the right to make decisions for our children around many issues. And therefore, we need to have a voice that is actually a two-way voice to the system, to the administration and the board of our district in order for us to be able to express the things, our wants, our wishes, our needs, our concerns. And as a parent in Cypher ISD, I have a daughter who's a 10th grader at Blangham Creek High School. She's a happy kid, she's thriving, she enjoys schools, but there are many places and things that happen where I wonder and I question. And I really do not find that I have the opportunity to do too much two-way dialogue, even about my own individual child, let alone about issues I see across the system. So I think that we as a board need to be able to have much more input, much more mechanisms for having communication that comes back to us. Some to teach parents in schools up, some from community forums up, organized groups in the community up, and that doesn't need to be done by the administration. Our current board seems to segue that all off to administration, and they do the country club lifestyle. That should be board driven. We 3 candidates together, we're committed to having mechanisms and ways, committees, ways that people have a way to have their input into the district. So voice. I had a funny thing happen the other day. I got an email and I was like, oh, they're going to ask me for my opinion on something. I opened it up because the title was catchy. Sure enough, they just wanted me to fill out my free reduced lunch application because that is how the district gets its Title I qualification. So it was a bit of a false alarm. But I would like to see that be what happens for us as parents. And also, there's parents in our district that are not as involved or able to get maybe their struggles of life. I've worked in Title I schools. I understand how you also engage parents from Latino communities. I speak Spanish. That's another way that I can bring Latino boys into our district as the largest group in our district as far as demographics. So that's voice. Next is choice. Again, we all know each child is unique. Each child has certain gifts, certain things that they're bending towards. One of your sons may be really into STEM, one may be really into poetry, one's an artist, there are unique kids in our system, and a one-size-fits-all approach is no longer the answer to how we educate our students. We need to take that voice of parents to have choice. Whether that be, like my daughter loves her big high school, no problem, but guess what? In elementary school, I had a goal for her that was bilingualism. I wanted my daughter to be challenged cognitively. I didn't want her to get ahead academically because it was really, school isn't ready for that, because she takes a 4th grade test in 4th grade. She takes a 5th grade test in 5th grade. So I felt like the best way I could do that was a dual language program, where she was learning her content in English and Spanish simultaneously. Guess what? Not available in Cypher ISD, the 3rd largest district in Texas with almost 50% Latino population. That doesn't make sense to me. That was when she was in pre-K. I got the answer no. Guess what? She's in 10th grade, and I still have the answer no. We still don't have it. Even though Tomball has 3 growing programs, Aldine's added 7, HIC has 40 programs. Dual language is the hot thing and it's growing, but still Cypher says it doesn't have the capacity to do that, and they cite a bilingual teacher shortage. It is true, it's hard to get bilingual teachers, but when Madeleine was in pre-K, if we had decided to commit to our own students here, say, hey, we'll pay a partial scholarship, take students from the student organization, we could have had bilingual teachers already because it's been 10 years, actually 11 years. So I say that's just an example of how I had to make a choice. Even though my tax dollars went, I drove past my school because parents will do that for their kids. Parents will make choices, they will make sacrifices. Homeschool parents, why shouldn't we be able to provide curriculum? Why shouldn't we have access to UIL sports? Why shouldn't we be able to give those parents their needs met? I could go on and on about the ways there's choice. Career academies. We can't build a high quality career focused academy in a high school, at every high school. It's just that's not feasible. But just the high-tech equipment it takes to do a really good welding program or a really good even program into engineering and STEM, those take money. So we should be able to have those available as options across our districts. And guess what? Parents will drive them there. We don't even have to figure out transportation if that's the excuse. So choice. If you want it, frankly, if there's 20 kids and a teacher, that's all we need. If you look at the funding formula, if you look at our average class-teacher ratio, and we have lots of buildings in aging neighborhoods, maybe like mine, with maybe an empty classroom, give them a classroom, give them a teacher, and let them have what they want for their kids. Choice, and that's going to be exciting for us to see build together. And finally, values. I think values is what has gotten a lot of us engaged and alert. Some of us in the crowd who don't have kids in school anymore are really worried about the future of our country, the future of our democracy, the future of the spiritual future of our nation, all the things the founding fathers fought for. We are a unique nation under God, and right now our schools are on a free fall towards values that do not match our values. And so it takes many forms. One form is CRT. That's what got most people activated right now. That is a evil agenda that's trying to separate people. It's trying to say you are white, you are bad, you're an oppressor, you are black, you are a victim. You should be, and the fault, it goes to the person who is white. Our children today do not see skin color. They are so precious. We have done great work as a nation. Malcolm X fought for things, and his was not the right way. MLK fought for things. He had a dream of our country being a place where it was the content of our character, not the color of our skin. We cannot go backwards. We have raised these young people. They love each other. They don't see the color as a thing. They see their values. They see their common interests. They see the fun they like to have together. So we have to fight to get that agenda out of our school. And a lot of other agendas. There is a concerted effort to pollute the minds and hearts of our children and take them away from the values that we hold dear. And so it comes in lots of isms. It comes in lots of ways that teachers are muzzled. That's another thing. We have people who believe like us who aren't free to express their beliefs in school. Mainly it's teachers of faith. Faith is shut down because there's a perception of an overstatement of separation of church and state, saying that you can't establish, but there also can't shut down. So we also have to free people with the values in schools to be able to share their beliefs, and not to share their beliefs for belief system, but to be able to operate out of their values and not be forced to continue to go along with other ways of thinking. An example would be my teachers in 7th grade when I was a principal. 7th grade, Ashley Cousins had put a Bible verse at the bottom of her email tag. I had to tell her to take it down because the administration told me I had to tell her to take it down. Whereas the teacher next to her had a flag flying of rainbow colors. She had talked every day about her lifestyle and what she did every weekend, but there was no recourse because that's just culture. Whereas Ashley's was separation of church and state. So there's very many ways that we're not able to protect our values in our schools. And so that is the part about values. Let's get the CRT, let's get every ism, every Marxist agenda, everything that's in the curriculum, and let's get it out of our schools. Let's put bounds on it and bring it back. Voice, choice, and values. Natalie Glassengate for position 5. The CFISD board, I'll appreciate your vote. And like Scott said, good luck. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Scott Henry again, position number 6. I'm going to tell you a little about myself, if you don't mind, and then I'll kind of go into why I'm running. Been in the security software business for about 20 plus years, working with Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 1, Fortune 2, big company, little retail company up in Bentonville, Arkansas. May have heard of them. Probably shop there every once in a while. And then, of course, a company here in town. Maybe bought gas from them as well. Working with these companies, you understand how to work with large companies and how to sell to them. But really, that's not the only thing about me as well. What really is about me is I come from a Christian point of view. I'm a follower of Christ. I'm also married to a wonderful wife for 29 years. And we have 3 children. One is a 14-year-old. It's currently in Cyfair today. And that's really the reason why I'm running. If you look at the current number of board members we have, 3 of them, they don't have kids in school. That's a crime of shame. To me, I believe firmly that if you're going to run for something, you should have stake in the game. And they've been there for 21 years, the opponent I'm running against. They've done a great job. I give them that. But I've been to several board meetings, like I think several of you here as well. And when I watch the board meetings, it reminds me of going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting where all they do is sit up there and they talk about the great things they've done over and over again, but they never get anything done. All they see is they raise their hand, they vote aye on something, they move along, they take pictures, and they go back home. And if you really want to give them information, you want to ask for something, you get 2 little minutes to ask a question. And if you're lucky, you may get an email saying, thank you for your comments, have a nice day. I don't believe that's what transparency is about with Cyfair Board. So what I would do in my candidacy is put together a 5-point plan. 1 is bring back transparency and accountability to Cyfair. We have to do that. We have to get the parents involved in our board. And that means we have to let you, the parents, have town hall meetings. We also have to put together, I believe, is each board member should have a card. We should have an email address for each of us so we can respond to you accurately in a timely manner. Second, I don't know if you know this or not, but did you know that not too long ago, the board changed to where basically the incumbents, like the one guy I'm running against, gets in by just 1 vote more than the next opponent? It's called plurality. That's a bad thing. Now, when you elect me, which you will elect me because you're all going to show up with the votes, that means it's bad for me. And I don't care. That's okay. But they changed that rule, which, like for Congress or for the president, you have to get 51%. We've got to change that rule. So day 1, if you elect all 3 of us, we're going to change that rule. Second, term limits. I firmly believe in term limits. I'm going to put that rule in place. I'm only going to run for 2 terms if God will allow me to and God allows me to as well. Because quite frankly, my kid will be out. I'll be 60 years old. I'm going to go live my life with my grandkids, and that's a great thing as well. And I believe that other board members should enjoy their time with their grandkids. Third, did you know this? We haven't balanced the budget in 5 years in South Carolina. This is the 6th year we have an unbalanced budget. Now, don't get me wrong. I firmly believe that teachers deserve a pay raise. They just gave them one. It happens to be election year. Did y'all know that? Little known fact, we gave them election year. But did you know also we gave them a 15% bump? And also their COBRA and all their medical benefits as well. So I don't know about 15% and the 5% bump that equals out. If I asked a couple of teachers where they talked to me, asked them, are you making more money? They said, no, we're not. So really, it didn't really work out for them. But it looked good on paper, and they got the good old pat in the back again. But whatever. The last thing I really want to do is curriculum. Me as a parent, I've had 3 kids that all have learning disabilities. That's a big thing for me, special ed, and kids with those kind of problems we got to fix. I think firmly we have to look at our curriculum. It's not going to be something we can fix quickly. It's going to be a time where we have to bring parents like you involved. We're going to look at that. I know we have TEKS at the very top from TEA and from SOBI, which, by the way, if you don't know, SOBI is currently looking for members of the public to get involved in that. So if you're interested in that, come talk to me. I'll get you involved with Will, who's our SOBI rep, and get you on that board. We'll look at that. We're going to do something that right now so I can cut off, but you can get involved in that. But that is an important thing we have to fix inside Fair. I can talk to you ad nauseum about our curriculum, but there's a lot of issues where one group over here creates a test, and one group over here creates the study material, and they don't match. My daughter, who does not have short-term memory, studies this material over here and fails her test every single week. It's not fair to the kids, it's not fair to the teacher, and quite frankly, our teachers are sick and tired of the curriculum where they can't teach. I love teachers. My mom was a teacher for 40 years. She taught in the worst places in Dallas ISD, which is one of the largest school districts in Texas. She loved on those kids. And she created her curriculum every single week because that's what they did. I want to let teachers design and help put a little creativity in their own curriculum. I don't think that's a problem. That's what I want to do for Sci Fair. I hope you vote for me. I pray you vote for me, but most importantly, I ask for your prayers of support for all of us because, quite frankly, God is on our side. I think it's the right thing to do, but most importantly, I really need your support and help. Scott Henry, Sci Fair position number 6. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Lucas Scanlon, And following the examples before me of Natalie and Scott, I'll talk a little bit about myself, I'll go into why I'm running, and then I'll talk about the things that have been important to me as a parent, were important to me as a teacher, are important to me as a business person, and can bring change to our schools. So a little bit about me. I grew up in the area. So I've lived in Houston area my whole life. I went to Clear Creek. I was in Clear Creek ISD. I grew up there, graduated from Clear Creek High School, all public school. I went to University of Houston. I wanted to be an engineer. Calculus was not my friend. And I knew someone who was a musician. And so I said, hey mom, I got a great idea. I want to be a music educator. And they looked at me and they said, that's okay, because my mom was a teacher and was a counselor her whole life. And so I've grown up with teachers. So I went off to music. At University of Houston, I taught all around the Houston area. And so on purpose, I taught at Clear Lake High School, affluent, Klein High School, affluent, Sam Rayburn High School, not affluent, Alief High School, Elsik High School, pardon me, not affluent.
I'm an alumni of Elsik High School.
And so, and you know, the time, and I'll try not to get choked up, but the time that I enjoyed the most as a teacher was my time at Sam Rayburn and at Elsik. Far more so than at Clear Lake and at Klein. And the reason was is that those kids needed me. And so when I was in college, I already knew how to connect. And so I view our schools as a set of relationships. Our teachers are the frontline defense to the failure or success of our kids. They are the person that's stepping in the way of their lack of security. Can I solve this problem? Of my insecurity, am I smart enough? Is what somebody told me recently that I'm an awful human being, is that true? That's where our teachers stand. They're our frontline defense. And they're the people that care. They're in that job for a reason, to connect with our children, so that when they give a task to that child, or when they look at it and say, you've got this, that child can perform, and they can do just a little bit, and then they can be successful on their own. And when they do, that gives them the strength to go a little bit further, and a little bit further, and a little bit further. And so when I taught at Sam Rayburn ISD, and when I taught at Elsik, those kids needed me. I would ask my kids, how are you doing? What's going on? They're falling asleep all the time. Why? What are you doing? Well, I'm up watching TV every night till 2 in the morning. Well, let's fix that. And I would give them a job. And I would give them a task to do, and they would do it, they would own it, they'd feel good about it, and that became part of who they were. Over at Elsik, my very first day, I was teaching from them. And then an ambulance goes flying by, and there's a sophomore boy who was clearly an influence in that group. He looks up at me, and he goes, listen. But the coldness in his eyes let me know in that instant what he cared about was getting home. What he cared about was walking his little sister from school to his house safely and making it back the next day. So Natalie did a good job describing programs that we can create. Programs that are going to meet the needs of our kids. And so my first part of my platform is why I'm running. I have a little blonde-haired girl who's in first grade. Her name is Jonah Bell Scanlon. She is very excited to ride the big kid school bus. She is so excited about it. And what she wants to do is that she wants to be her best. She is proud of her work. She shows me her work all the time. And so when I see her work, I'm here to defend her opportunity. I've been to University of Houston. I did that. Then I went to Rice University as a master's in music. I played with the Houston Symphony. I left that to go into business. I went and I got, in that time, I was also a band director, so I explored that career. I decided that I needed to do something to be able to raise my family, and I believe in teacher salaries at that time, that wasn't going to cut it, so I had to raise my family, and so I went into business. I went to Rice, got my MBA, and then I went to Harvard. So I say all that to say this: I know what excellence in education looks like. It's not the fanciness of what's about you, it's the conversation in the room. I had a great conversation that was inspiring, challenging, with 4 walls and a 30-year-old trumpet. We need the right voice in the classroom that's unconstrained to be able to have a conversation that our children need. So my first part of my platform is our kids, our schools. And I'm saying our kids because it's our kids, we are parents, it's our kids, we are stakeholders, we are taxpayers. It's not the school board's school. It's our school. And so if you go to a school board meeting, you're going to come away with a sense of, wait a minute, this belongs to them. They think it belongs to them. Go for yourselves, you'll see. They feel like it's theirs. And it's not theirs. We're the customer. We're the people that are most invested. So our kids are schools. We're going to take ownership and prevent somebody from introducing curriculums into our schools that distract from the purpose. When someone says, no place for hate's a good thing, well, if you're talking about bullying, maybe, but then you dig a little bit deeper, you find out, oh, the Anti-Defamation League are the people that wrote that. Our school board signed up for it unanimously. I wonder if they knew what they were doing. Because within this current month, without asking the parents, they asked the children to sign off on a pledge that says we will not discriminate against, and there's a whole list of isms here that I personally do not agree with, and I would never let my little girl say that is something that's a good idea. Go read it. No place for hate. Look it up. You'll find it. It's in our schools right now. And so it's our kids, it's our schools. It's not their schools. They should get the parents involved. So my next part of my platform is let's foster creativity and provide safety. Provide safety from these outside agendas. I have been in consulting for a long time. I know what consultants can do, and I know what they should do, and I also know what they should not do. Our school board should not be hiring external consultants to inform about leftist agenda items to bring them into our school district. I know exactly how that game is played. I've seen it 1,000 times, and I know how to fight it. And so I promise you, we're going to provide safety. I looked at the candidates around me and I said, we are the wall. We are the fortification wall around the city that's going to protect our school district. And we all agree. That's why we're here. So we will defend our kids. That will be a high, impenetrable wall. And we will focus on what is the value that's going to be created. And unless we can see clear evidence of value, you're not getting in. Period. And we will hold our own administration and our superintendent accountable for value creation. And when they're not, we will create a plan. We will support them and create policy to drive out what that plan should be, and they will measure the results consistently. When we're fostering creativity, I was a musician. I'm a math guy. I'm a scientist. So I cover the gamut between academics, arts, okay, not athletics. Not gonna lie, my friends are like, you can't catch. That being said, we have to restore our focus. 20 years ago, Cypher ISD was a destination for learning. Today it's hate. Why is that? No one wants to talk about it, but that's true. And so we can do something about it. What should we do about it? Well, before I address that plan, let me come to another point. I'm someone who I hire young people. And for the last 10 years, since I left Harvard, I have been interviewing students who are candidates for Harvard. They want to go to Harvard. So I've been interviewing kids for a long time who have resumes that shame mine back then, that's for sure. But I can tell you, as someone who's a business operator, and a leader for my clients, and someone that does interviews, I know what the difference between creative problem solving and regurgitating and memorization. I know what the difference looks like. And so we need to foster an education environment where our kids learn how to be creative problem solvers. And that becomes a chief skill they can bring with them from high school into college and into life. They need to believe in themselves to understand how to decompose a problem and then formulate an approach, test the approach, try it. If they need to learn from it, fine, they pivot, they learn, and they go forward. But until we give our kids the responsibility of being accountable for their own work, and then give them the space to be able to solve that problem and give them the framework to learn how to do it, we really shouldn't have that expectation. So, if we're going to sharpen focus on excellence in academics, athletics, and arts, then our teachers simply need to be able to operate in the classroom. They need to own the classroom and not be told, guess what, if this person who's a student and by the color of their skin, I have to wait until other kids, if they're being a problem and I need to discipline, I have to wait until other kids who are a different color of skin. I have to basically form a list of 1, 2, 3, or I have to go through a process of disciplining them first before I can get to another kid of a different skin color. That is completely bogus, and it's hurting the kids that most need our help. So we have to find a way to be able to give our teachers back ownership of the classrooms so they can operate it. The students that are in the classrooms have to know that, you know what, if I'm a screw up, not to be too blunt, but if I'm making mistakes and I'm being disruptive in the classroom, there's going to be consequences, and I don't want those consequences. So our teachers have to own the classroom. I've seen it. I've talked to my friends who are teachers, substitutes, and they walk into the classroom, and the students there know that that teacher has no teeth. I can completely ignore the instructor, and nothing's going to happen to me, and I will be back in the classroom by 6th period because the principal wants a reduction in his measurements of less attention. That's the wrong metric. I run business. That's the wrong metric. That has no value. And so if we're going to sharpen focus on athletics, academics, and arts, we need to equip our teachers to be able to own the classroom to get that job done. And so, and as we're providing safety and creativity to our schools, that goes towards our work culture. If you read a lot of my writings, you're going to hear me refer to that. It is the responsibility of our board to be able to create a work culture at the board level, because we're the leaders, and deliver that work culture back down to our academic campuses. So our schools, the principals set the tone on that campus, but the board is the lead. So creating a true partnership between parents and the teachers starts on the board level by being open with the community. So we will be open with the community. We will engage the community voice. If you go to a school board meeting right now, you will quickly discover that the community voice is not desired and it frankly has no place. I've been running business for a long time, and you guys have all seen businesses for a long time. How many large businesses do you know tell their customer, I don't want to hear you, and they're successful in meeting their objectives? 0. They will fail. And that's where our board is right now. And so I'm Lucas Scanlon. I'm running for position 7, Cypher ISD. I'm going after Bob Covey, who is the sitting president, who allowed all of this to go on underneath his watch. I'm going after the snake because what he has done is inappropriate, it's inexcusable, he is responsible, he is accountable, that board is under his leadership, and he needs to retire. Thank you.
Mad as you are too. It's really
So
sad.
how do you understand the position, when you're going for a position, you're trying to unseat a specific person?
I'm trying to
That's
unseat
what
a
the
specific,
positions
yes,
do. You're targeting a particular.
that's correct. So we're all running for positions that are at large.
And how many positions need to flip to be able to have change?
At least the 3 of ours need to flip. There's probably a 4th person of Debbie Blackshear, who is more conservative than the other ones. So if all 3 of us get in, then we have someone who's likely going to lean Republican, or at least conservative, and we may be able to own the board this December. And I'll tell you what, if any of us get on, we will all feed information to the next round of candidates, because in 2 years, 4 seats are up, and we will own the board.
And I also believe the week between the day of election and whenever we get installed, while we still have open meetings acts, there's no limitations from that. It's all about creating the infrastructure. So we think we're running a campaign right now. Really what we're doing is connecting all the people who are going to, we know what comes up in the traditional, having worked 29 years in schools, there's a rhythm to it. We know what items are going to come up. All of it's public record. We know when they decide on which things, what budget decisions, what programs, whatever is being reviewed that month. We just seed the people to come and talk and take their right to express their needs. Then we can echo that back from the dais. When instead of talking about bus buddies and football games, we talk about the content of what's before us and what's coming. We repeat. Last meeting, we heard from 7 citizens that said they wanted this. We heard from 5 citizens who said they wanted this. We heard this voice. We have this survey that's been going on in this committee. We have this committee working on this. Let me give a committee report. The committee met on this day. We govern from the dais, whether we're the majority or not. We put it out there. We have you guys, FACT comes and talks. This group comes and talks. Yellow Rose Republican Education Committee comes and talks. We ourselves have not been doing our part, exactly. So and I've watched a lot of board meetings, 29 years in schools, 29 years of board meetings. Maybe the first 10 of them I wasn't, but as soon as I hit district administration, I've sat and seen a lot of things. Some of it good, some of it not. But absolutely, the community can take that over, even if we're only 3 seats and Debbie didn't come along with us. Even if we get 2 or 1, but we're gonna get all 3, we're gonna bring Debbie along and let's go for a ride.
Yep. All of us understand how to lead, even in a minority position.
We've seen that in Congress, right? When the minority is not in the lead, they can do a lot of damage. You see that in our house. You know?
Yep.
From one party, you see that in our house.
Yes.
So I've been in the district, I guess, 16 or 17 years, based on the ages of my kids, going from kindergarten through 12th grade in this district. The only emails or surveys I can remember receiving is how long I want Thanksgiving break. Honestly, like I'm sitting here trying to think, why am I not receiving more headline emails from the board asking a 10-question survey about what's going on?
Because they don't want your opinion.
So how is that something that?
You know, there was a
is
survey in like
going to ever
2016.
change?
Yeah, I think when they get the answer back they don't want, they get scared. So I've run before because I feel like I was a canary in the coal mine screaming, help people, help our schools. 2015, 2017, 2019. I'm stubborn and I'm here to fight and I'm going to fight until we get our schools back. But basically they surveyed about, do you feel welcome? Does your school communicate well with you? Do they, how do you like to be communicated with? And the results were not what Cyfair wanted. Probably somewhere I have a record of it, but somewhere on the website you could find it. But guess what? When they asked and didn't get the answer, the board never asked again. They didn't put that pressure on administration to get the two-way communication that comes from us on the board.
Right.
And that's the first order of business. I feel like we'll need to probably have a professional firm because I don't think we know the administration well enough to trust it, push to get an audit of the communication and create to have a whole plan of how we'll get instant communication back because we have to set the priorities based on what the majority of the parents and the community members want. We choose the top 3 or 4 that we're going after in this organized way we just discussed. So we basically have to give voice early. Voice, choice, and values. Voice has to tell us what choices and what values you want us to act upon. And obviously the community is the curriculum thing we all address and we see, and that's very unhealthy at this point. That has to be an order of business that I'm sure will rise up because that's why everyone's awake now, and that's why we're going to take this back.
The interesting thing is, I was doing some, trying to cross some things from the board's website. The funny thing is, and you want to hear this recent, the resolution they signed has mysteriously disappeared from the board's website. Preferably election. So the equity resolution they signed that everyone's pretty mad about is no longer on the website.
Why is that?
I'm not
They
sure.
don't be held accountable.
Yeah, they won't be held accountable, which should be there because Open Records Act, but it's not there anymore. So that would be a good thing to look under the OPR. And that's why it's disappeared.
Okay, so,
I
a
don't know.
lot of the.
I mean, you're the lady of the house. She had her hand up just a moment ago in the back. So I was trying to go in order. Ma'am?
It's going on that No Place for Hate. Well, I can tell you where you can see a copy. I went to curriculum night, and there's a huge poster.
Well, I understand, but it should be on the official record of Cyfair, because that's where they keep all the records. That's the official record for
I was just
Cyfair.
surprised that it was posted, a huge poster board of that and No Place for Hate with 3 of the 5 stars. So I'm wondering, like, what happens when they get to 5 stars? I mean, I want it gone. This is like very important to me. This No Place for Hate
Yep.
because it is just filled with
It's-
hate,
it's-
and I don't like that.
If you put on my Facebook site, that's the Cyfair's Dr. Henry, no relation to me, by the way. But if you're a low information voter, please vote for me. It's the same guy. But no, it's one of his goals is by, I think probably by October this year, he wanted to have every school campus signed up for that. And that's where he wants to get all the stars lined.
But there's, okay, so it shows like it started in 2016 or 17, I think was one of the stars, of course, it's missing a star from.
You want to have every
here.
campus signed up to be involved in that. Not every campus has signed up because the principal has to sign into it, opt into that program.
So
Not
how
every
can we
campus
get
does.
rid of this? I mean, do we do the survey? Do we just go? And
To me, that's a no-brainer. Doesn't need a survey if you see how far it goes. So to me, I've already been thinking, we haven't had a chance to discuss that, but the idea of celebrating kids doing kind acts for others, we can just create, we're a huge district. We create a parallel universe, kindness matters. We have the kids be able to get a next banner and a next banner. Whether we take down the old banners is a question I'm wondering about. Maybe we need to, I don't know. I don't like revisionist history in any way in our classrooms or in schools, but we just create it. We create the same incentive for kids to do kind things where they serve the community, and we create it under our values that we've already coalesced around by having committees that we formed early on to say, what do we value? Where are the bounds of our curriculum inside it? Where are the bounds of everything we do? This is where it starts, this is where it ends. These are Cy-Fair's values. We are elected to represent the values closest to the citizens. It's the most local form of politics. So we get the values of the community, we get input from a broad swath of us. We know where they're going to come down, that's why we're here. And then we go after those, and we make we let the kids do activities that go around those values, earn their star, go have a celebration at the Big Berry Center, have, so the kids don't have to lose out on the opportunity. It just doesn't have the unrighteous roots and the evil and disgusting things that are being led to. And then the other part about Food No Place for Hate is the curriculum materials, and that's another thing. There may be 1 or 2 pages in there we no longer leave just wide open World Wide Web links for our curriculum materials that we purchase as a district. We say, this page may have value, you can put this in the curriculum, you can put this in the curriculum, the rest of that stuff. It's not just a free-for-all, because that's what happened. They're very wily. Hell is wily. It went off, and you dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and right now a teacher's sanctioned to use it because it's in our purchased curriculum materials. No, we say which of those materials from those sites are what goes into our curriculum. So that's just some of the ideas.
I'll answer your question very directly. I'll add it to my first agenda item I'll put on there. Remove it from the curriculum, period, the end. Defund it will be the first item on the agenda. I'll direct the superintendent to defund it.
Yep.
Easy. And then we'll look for new curriculum that's not based from, that's a generic one, or even creative. We have hundreds of people that write curriculum in the district that are on staff. It's not that hard to do.
It's not.
I mean, thank gracious, we have a thing called the Bible we can look at too. 10 Commandments. I want to look at that, but it's pretty easy. Pick up the Bible, read the Bible.
Yeah.
Not hard.
And the last point is that we're not there to make friends.
Oh.
I'm not.
We're here for the kids.
We're here for the kids. And so
In
resolution
academics.
number 1 is that kind of program has no business being taught by any adult as a teacher, period. Every one of those conversations is something that should be owned by the parent.
Right.
So the responsibility of a school district is to empower the parents to own the conversations with their own children that are rightfully and righteously theirs alone. And so anybody that infringes on that boundary over the family unit, it's gone. And we will call it out day 1.
Let's get them on record. If they don't want to defund it, we'll have them on record. And then when they run again, you didn't vote for it, you can make that decision to vote. Pretty simple.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so along all these lines is the fact that leftist indoctrination has been infiltrating the schools for many decades. Teacher trainings, school board training when you have it. How are you going to practically be able to start turning this tide?
So my perspective is that people that are conservative have been silent. And yet people that, and I define it, I draw a line, I won't get in that room. Simply, we won't be silent. So we'll simply say, no, I don't agree with that position. That doesn't represent my values or the values of the constituents who put me in office. And that's as far as that conversation needs to go. And so we can simply say, you know what, that is identifying as leftist, that's an indoctrination agenda. It has 0 place in terms of bringing value to our children. Because the only job the board has is to bring value to kids. That's it. And so if it's not fostering academic excellence, athletic excellence, artistic excellence, enabling programs to be able to reach kids that are at risk and bring them on to a healthy place, if it's not doing that, then it falls outside the scope of what a conversation we should be paying our teachers to do.
And that same freedom all the way down to the classroom. Luke and I have both been teachers in classrooms. And I've also been led at the school level as a principal and the district level as an assistant superintendent. And every step along the way down to the classroom has that same, we make sure they have the right to say no to those leftist agendas.
Okay, what are you going to do about the teachers who are promoting a leftist agenda in their classrooms?
I have a couple things for that. I said this a couple of meetings ago. In the real world, in the work world, every year we go through ethics training. So we have to watch a video that's required for anti-bias, all these different training, anti-racketeering training. There's a new law that just came in place, thanks to Representative Toth. Not as great as we'd like it, but it's pretty good. I would recommend for the district, again, another item I could put in place, every teacher within Sci-Fair, every administrator, including the superintendent, has to watch a video that says, these are the things that are against the law within Sci-Fair. I've watched the video, I certified watched the video, and if I violate any of these rules, I could be terminated, or these are things that could happen to me, period.
There's also a piece about that with curriculum, so much like to the answer about CRT. I think that we also, there used to be a bounds on the knowledge that we were going to give kids in a classroom. It was called a textbook. And as educators, textbooks became sort of like old-fashioned. The information's changing rapidly in our culture, and so it didn't seem like the right thing, and that's where we gave away our soul. Because we started to say, now we have a link, which could be one little page or 2 or 3 of good information towards teaching kids to be a critical thinker, like Luke was talking about. And then the next thing you know, you're down into teaching about cisgender. I don't even know what that means, all these other things. And so I think that we also put in place a committee that puts those bounds on what we say these are the knowledge and skills and the values that are our curriculum. And then you have a curriculum bounds for a teacher. Then you have a way to report the person who's going outside of the bounds. So when we say, this is our agreed upon bounds for the curriculum, now you are trained, much of the same thing in that training, maybe it's in the same training he's talking about where they say, you're aware that you can teach the sanctioned, community-approved material, and when you go outside, that's grounds for being fired. And therefore, there's an actual body of knowledge, much like the old textbook we had. This was our history. Remember history? When that used to be taught, this is our history textbook. And so what I'm saying is there can be some bounds that way. And I think that it's a personnel issue. It's a hiring issue as well. So people come, when they're hired in, they understand that I'm signing not just the Teacher Code of Ethics for Texas. This is our Sci-Fair norms and expectations around for your employment here.
So I have an idea too, just thought this idea, but I don't know if you know, but he started the Tea Party here in Cyprus and also at Harvard. Why don't we create a Tea Party type thing for education? Right? Why don't we create one for educators where school board trustees create a movement with Christian, right people who are doing the right thing among educators? And let's get rid of TASB's left-leaning agenda type people.
Wow.
Because there's other people I know, because I've met other people who are doing campaigning who are like-minded like me. Let's get a coalition together. And if we get enough voters who get on these boards, we can vote them off. Let's do this. Well, we need to get there. We gotta get there.
Question for all of you guys, and so what I've been hearing bits and pieces of, and I would like each of you to interject on this concept, is policy. And so you follow policy, and if you don't follow policy, there are repercussions, especially for certain things. But if you guys want to opine on that a bit, I'm just curious your thoughts.
Sure. I write governance for Fortune 500 companies, and when I think about when companies ask my team to come in, so we lead and we help them define what are your business objectives, who do you have in place now, what are the process, technology, culture, people, process, technology, culture, what is in place today, what are your objectives, and then we advise on what should be. Now you start getting into the more soft skills, which is policy, governance, setting expectations with people as both of them are describing. How do you set expectations and how do you create measurements, as Natalie is describing, how do you create the bounds of where the legal playing field is going to be, and then once you define what those bounds are, now you can measure whether someone is in or out of bounds. From a policy perspective, my preference, and so part of the reason I went to Harvard is that I wanted to find out how the extreme left fought. That's specifically why I went there. Not the only reason, but one of the core ones. And so, but while I was there, I discovered that there's an ideology in the uber left that they understand design better than the common folk. My perspective, as someone who's very conservative, is that local information will always yield a better decision. And so if we empower a teacher and structure policies such that the teacher has the authority and the power in the classroom to bring discipline to those children and make a decision within prescribed bounds, and she's got the liberty to be able to do that, now we can actually get down to the business of teaching. And from a school perspective, raise that up. When we think about the policies that are in place for the principal, now they're running a business. I look at it as they're running a business. They have objectives that they need to meet. And in order to do that, they've got to work with their team of teachers and staff. And so we will enable our administration, our schools and the administration around our schools to have policies that are structured so that we recognize the boundaries of where they should be, but then we're empowering a local insight, local understanding of those decisions so that they can fill in the blanks that we are purposefully not filling in. And that will give us the ability for them to create their own metrics of improvement. We'll review those metrics, and then we can partner with them. They can partner with the community so that the community and the schools reach those goals. So policy, as a quick summary, is not something that is written at the top level and just fed down. It is collaboratively built from the bottom up.
So this question is specifically to Natalie. Can you address the past information that is up about you from past elections, and now that we've had a year of COVID and rooms and things like that, where are you right now?
Thank you for the opportunity. I didn't really give a good bio, but I've spent 29 years in schools, teacher, assistant principal, district leader. So I have lived through 29 years of watching our schools go further and further and further and further away from the values that I hold dear and that the majority of our community holds dear. So in 2015, some of the articles that are out there want to make me a zealot of some kind, but literally I felt called by God to say, stop this. There's an overinterpretation of separation of church and state in schools that there is, and it's overinterpreted in all the ways we've described here, and he said, your job is to tear that down. I was actually in a plane, I was traveling for work, and there was a woman reading a magazine. Through the crack of the chair in the airplane, I could see her magazine. It was spotlighting 3 local leaders, one was a school board member, and others across the nation it was a Billy Graham magazine, if I remember right, and who were making a difference to tear down that overinterpretation of separation of church and state and schools. Asked the woman if I could borrow it. She gave me her little magazine, and God said, that's it, that's your work. So since 2015, I've gone after that. I've worked against a PAC that takes money from vendors, a PAC that keeps the incumbents in power, a PAC, if you look it up on Texas Trash Talk, there's a 2012 article that lays out very clearly exactly how that PAC has got into power, and literally the community hadn't woken up yet because CRT wasn't on people's radar, even though I had seen it coming the whole time. I had started to see it cooking up around us, and I felt muzzled to be able to take care of it because I was a Christian conservative in schools. And so I've gone after this. I did pretty well, 48.2% of the vote with no community activation in the first election. The next one, I think it was a little harder to get through Don Ryan. I got 38% of the vote, and I spent even less money that time. And I got the help I was able to get because we didn't have this kind of groundswell of political support back then. No, there was no party, no engagement. No one was talking about school board elections. It was that little forgotten role. And so I got some from a group that was had liberal leanings, but I see it like the wealth of the wicked is saved up for the wise. I took what I could get in order to run some strategy, and so that's something that people have to answer for. But I took that money. They knew I was a Christian and a conservative. They had to hold their nose and support me because I had the right to it because of the way I came into education. And I came in as a Christian conservative. I was a member of Young Conservatives in Texas from the day I got to college in 1988. And so just like you and Harvard's creating a tea party there, I went to UT and I knew what my values were. So I finished and I wanted to go give my calling was to education. So I did Teach for America. That's why I had the right. So basically I took 2015, finished in 2019. Again, no support, very little money. Put a little bit of my own money because I care that much. Not that I make a lot because I'm an educator, but I committed to the call and came within 600 or 800 votes. So I have been fighting, and in politics, you don't get it the first time. You fight and fight and fight if you're really going for what. I'm no newcomer. I am grassroots, and I'm committed to this. And guess what? I had to make a decision this time, and that's why did you join the race so late? Was someone a victim in this? I prayed and I prayed and I prayed because I said, God, why do you have me out there 3 times if I'm going out there again? And he said, yes, you're going out there again. And this is different this time. So here we are. I feel like we have a tribe. I asked him if he could give me people to work with and bring joy to the journey. I'll go out there again. So I'm out here doing what God asked me to do, fighting for our kids. I think I bring all the background experience. I feel excited when I stand up with these guys. Like, imagine what we bring. We have the heart and the values and the commitment to the kids exactly the same. And we bring this incredible amount of the business acumen and even the business acumen and the classroom experience in places like that. Leading and working with administration and being a part of it, there's nothing we can't take care of in this district together. So I'm super proud I've run because you know what? I stand on what I believe in and I do what God tells me to do. And all the way, we're going to go all the way, onward and forward.
And just to encourage Natalie, I kind of want to jump on that. So having someone who's been around a lot of academics, the notion of if you are a God-fearing Christian and you're pursuing a personal relationship with God, and you feel responsible to follow what he says to do, if that's a bad thing, then I don't want to be right. And so our purpose in our country was founded on the vision given by God to men and women to do things at a righteous standard. We're here today because we're choosing to do something that really is frankly more important to us personally than the pain that it causes us to go through this journey. I guarantee you it's not fun. And we're all geared up for the fight that's coming. And every one of us, we're good. I'll go as many rounds as it takes. No one wants to get in that ring with me. And so when I think about the journey that we're on, we're doing it, all of us. We all pray. We all ask our lives. And so for those that we are all very sincere about our pursuit of Christianity. We've paid the price. We've lost the friends. We've taken the toll. We've been ridiculed. And we don't care. Because at the end of the day, it comes about our own integrity and whether or not we feel in clean conscience that we've honored him, done what he said, he can say, well done, good and faithful servant. So anybody that chastises her over her faith and expression of faith, they're the people that should question whether or not they've got a perspective that is healthy. Because I don't believe that having a Christian perspective is unhealthy. I think it produces better fruit, it results in more stable children, it results in a better and stronger community that supports and builds together folks.
I just have to say that I try to walk 10 hours a week, walking for you all. I'm going to do 20 hours now. This is wonderful. This is wonderful.
And we thank you for doing
For these
Yes.
children.
God bless
No, it's for the children, but you guys who represent them so beautifully. Thank you for your sacrifice.
And tell everybody what kind of help you need in these last few weeks before early voting starts in October. Tell us what we can do.
Call the people that you normally wouldn't call.
Stay away from the echo chambers. That's the big thing. Too often we talk to the echo chambers, which we still come to the echo chambers. I love talking to people because it gives me encouragement.
Yeah.
But talk to people, like you just said, talk to who you don't talk to. Go to someone next door and tell them why it's important on 3 different perspectives, right? Home. Your home is important for the school board. Your value is important for the school board. And the people you represent in the community, because they're side for kids, they're going to represent to the community. You know, those are all 3 important reasons why, not just because you don't have kids. Those are all important. And then, still got, what, 2 more, this Sunday and next Sunday before the election to go register to vote. So they're register to vote. They just moved here, they can still register to vote. I got cards out there, we'll take some home with you, go register people to vote. I can't take it with me, but you can go take it home yourself, because I'm not certified.
So,
We also, it does take money to run a campaign, so people are able to contribute. We have, we're playing against a group, PAC that has kept the same incumbents in power for 20 years. It's the same group that spent $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 against me. When I ran against Don Ryan, I almost fell out of my car on 290 when I heard a citywide radio ad, and I saw a billboard as I drove down 290 to go to another poll to work the poll. And so it does take some money, so if anyone has that in their heart to help contribute, we are taking out an advertisement and the community impact in order to make sure that we compete with that and share our values with people. Also, the...
and let me just jump onto that. Us being up here isn't just that we're willing to go through the drama affiliated with putting our name out there. all of us have invested money personally into this that I don't know that any of us expected to be quite frank. And so we hope it's enough, but we don't know if it's enough. And
Do
so,
you make donations online, or how do you invite?
so online, if for online or fine or checks. So any way that you feel comfortable and what you feel amounts that are reasonable, but we could really use that.
Each of their websites has a donate button on it.
Yeah.
And she had the wisdom to us bring a sheet that explains different ways that people can support. Pray, prayer cover, prayer
Yeah.
for the what we're fighting for to be accomplished. Prayer for protection for all of us and our families.
Yeah.
And if you can volunteer on election day, there's like 4 places we're going to be at. Just hold a sign and say, hey, go vote for us, don't forget. Because people all the time, there are constitutional limits. We talked about door knocking, yes. Walking.
Block walking is
yeah.
a huge piece. Right now, we're knocking on doors so people get a personal touch. So we also will have phone banking starting in the next, starting but very quickly here. And a sign in your yard, if you would like to, that tells a lot of neighbors that may not have been able to come that these are the candidates you're supporting, and if they know you and the way you live, then they will listen to your sign.
Our incumbents are running on really a couple of things. One is that teachers voting as a block. Teachers voting as a block. That means that teachers as a union, which they're not a union, but they sometimes vote as one, they will say, you need to vote for our incumbents. And so teachers are more frequent to vote for an incumbent school board
But it
member
sounds like
than
the
somebody.
teachers are equally as upset. Why would they vote for the
You would be
incumbents?
surprised.
It makes no sense.
Well, agreed.
Because they don't want to lose the superintendent if they think that it's going to change things in their buildings and stuff, so.
And then Ogletree, let's be frank, the black group in Cy-Fair, they will vote as a block.
So what are you doing to talk to the black community? What are you doing to talk to the Latino community? That's what's going to change. Because I have a son who played football, so needless to say, I was very involved in the black community for 4 years. They have the exact same values we have.
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
But they're not here to listen to this.
Right?
If they listened to you like that old game, the dating game,
Yep.
you were sitting behind a door
Yeah.
and they couldn't see your skin color,
Yeah.
and maybe you
It'd be
changed
totally
their
different.
voice to sound more like them,
Yeah.
they would be sitting there going, who is that guy? I want to vote for him. And then the door would open and it looks like you, and their jaws would be open. Right? So, but those are the communities that are going to change, that are going to be the tide that you were talking about, because they all have the same values we have.
Yep.
They've just been, they just thought for years that they need to vote a certain way. They are equally as mad, but no one's going to talk to them.
Well, I love your admonition because we have a strategy meeting we meet every week, and so that's part of the agenda
These
to make sure.
apartments, these places, those parents, let me tell you, those parents are upset when their kid gets in trouble because they discipline their kids at school. But now now you're telling me that the teachers can't discipline their
No,
kid.
they can't. If a black kid
Well, I'm going to
does
tell you
something
that
wrong,
parent is going to be equally as mad.
Yes.
Yep.
But the parent probably doesn't know that.
they probably don't.
Because you think
Kid's
their
not gonna
son-
tell 'em.
You think their son or daughter's going to come home and say, Mom, I've been acting up for the last 6 months at school and I haven't gotten detention because they're not allowed to get me in trouble? You
Yep.
think the parent's going to get, great job, Johnny, you just keep that right up.
Yep.
No, you're going to pull them by the ear and, wash their mouth out with soap. But they don't know that. That's the first I hear of it.
Yep.
So those headliners are what are going to get people to open that email.
Yep.
Or the little thing that gets left on my door. Did you know, ... this, I didn't know that. This is where you can get more information.
Agreed.
Because those are the groups that are going to change the tide.
And so we're doing everything.
Yeah.
It's
She can
just
do a
time,
link.
resources.
She can get a copy of this video, and you can send it to all those people you just talked about that you know, okay?
Yep.
Because we need everybody helping. It's not just those 3 people up there doing it. And we have to take this to your friends, and now we all have to be involved if we
Yep.
want to get rid of
And
this.
I led with talk to people that you don't normally talk to.
I love it.
That's who we need is the people that you know, kind of know, don't know. Almost in that order, right? We've got to get people motivated and excited, because if we don't, what is our community going to look like in 4 years? Yes, Teresa.
We did a block walk, just a group of us, no strategists, just some moms got together and grandmas and said, we're gonna go over here. It was not a heavily conservative area. Do you know how many signs you all have for these people that care about their children? I say these people, we're all parents, we all care about children. So it goes across, just like you said, it goes across any political line. You all have many signs.
How did I get 48.2% of the vote the first time with no name recognition against a very powerful incumbent? Because I love kids, all kids. I've served every kind of kiddo you can imagine in schools for 29 years, and guess what? You're not going to get them posting on Facebook, she was horrible, she didn't love me. You will see people say, oh, my teacher, she loved me, she cared about me, she took care of me, she held me to high standards, she had high expectations for me. So that's how we get it. I think you're right. Lead with love.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I think that the politics needs to be completely taken out of this,
Oh, yeah.
those communities. You can't walk in and see they're conservative.
Yeah.
They're gonna go like that.
I'm here to fight for your kid.
Yeah.
Because that's
So I know what's going on, and you haven't been told us yet, because your Senate brothers not coming home and telling us. They will listen.
And that's the fight. It's trying to get, and so we're trying to get outside of our own echo chambers. We're trying to get outside of this, the channels that Facebook pushes us into. And so it's point well taken. Yeah. Other questions?
So each one of you, one more again, position?
Okay, so great. Thank you very much for the very good questions and just the dialogue. It helps fuel us for the race. Natalie Blassingame for position 5.
I'm very glad to be here. I'm more glad that you're here. And we need everybody, and we need our families, our taxpayers, our parents involved. I will support the effort that we will bring to restore our school board back to accountability to our taxpayers, our parents, our teachers, so that our kids can benefit and get out of the business of politics and return to the business of teaching. Luke Scanlon, position 7.
You've heard from us many times talk about this. It's about academics, not politics. It's about transparency. It's about accountability. We need your vote. We need your help. And more importantly, we need you to pray for us. It is a long couple of months ahead of us. My name is Scott Henry, position number 6, and thank you very much.